Let me be honest, when I first started my personal finance journey, I had no clue what I was doing. It was overwhelming, confusing, and I made a ton of mistakes. And if you're new to the world of personal finance, I know how intimidating it can feel. And that's why in this video, I'm gonna share what I would do differently if I were starting my personal finance journey today. What's up everyone? My name is Cedric, a financial professional turned video producer, and I'm passionate about making money simple and understandable. Now, I didn't grow up learning about managing money or about investing. In fact, my dad was the breadwinner in our house, and while he did a fantastic job providing for our family, money management was just not anything that we ever talked about, aside from my parents telling me to save. Fast forward to my mid-20s, and I remember walking through the personal finance aisle at Barnes & Noble, and a book caught my eye, and it was A Total Money Makeover by Dave Ramsey. And I thought to myself, you know what? I'm an adult now. I should probably learn about money. So without knowing anything, I just bought the book, I read it, and that's where my personal finance journey began. Now, this was around 2009, and life was much more simple back then. I mean, there weren't really smartphones around, and YouTube was still in its early stages, and there wasn't as much free information available then as there is now. And as I dove deeper into the world of personal finance, I quickly realized how overwhelming it was to figure out what to do. I mean, I spent years learning and then unlearning and figuring things out through trial and error. And that's why I want to share 10 things I'd do if I were just starting out today. So let's get right into it. Get educated on money. This is the best place to start your personal finance journey because without education, you're not gonna have the foundation to be able to make informed decisions. With so much information out there, books, videos, blogs, it can feel overwhelming. So my advice, take it one step at a time. If you're a reader, start with personal finance books that teaches you the basics of budgeting, money management, investing, and if you prefer to watch videos like me, search for beginner-friendly content on personal finance, like this channel. The goal is to familiarize yourself with key concepts and different perspectives so that you can figure out what works best for you. But a word of caution, not all advice is good advice. Be on the lookout for red flags like anyone promising to teach you how to get rich quick, and if you come across any of that, just run as fast as you can. Focus on timeless principles around managing money and building wealth, and you'll be off to a very strong start. Spend less than what I bring in. Now, I realize this sounds really obvious, but a surprising number of people actually struggle with this. Living beyond your means often leads to a cycle of paycheck to paycheck living and dependence on credit cards. I used to be guilty of this. Towards the end of the month, I'd find myself low on cash and I'd turn to my credit cards to cover my expenses, telling myself, you know what, I'll just pay myself back as soon as I get paid again. Sometimes I did pay myself back immediately, but other times I would just let the debt pile up. To avoid this trap, I'd make tracking my income and expenses a priority. Learn how to budget and track income and expenses. The first step is learning how to track your income and expenses. You can't manage what you don't measure, and tracking gives you a clear picture of where your money is going. It's like stepping on a scale before starting your fitness journey. You need that baseline to know how to measure progress. Once you're tracking your income and expenses, the next step is creating a budget. Now, a budget is simply a plan for your money, and it helps you to figure out what's coming in, what's going out, and how to make the most of what you have. Now, for me, I like to use a simple spreadsheet because I feel like it gives me the most control. With that spreadsheet, I can track my expenses, manage payments like student loans, and I can decide how much I want to save and invest. If spreadsheets aren't your thing, there are plenty of budgeting apps out there that can make tracking your money easier and even more automated. Here's the real benefit. When you're tracking your spending, you're more aware of your habits. It's like shining a light on your financial blind spots. You might even catch yourself thinking twice before buying something unnecessary because you're gonna see how it'll affect your overall plan. Now, I believe having a budget is not about restriction. It's about giving yourself clarity and control over your money. Build a safety net. Having a safety net in the form of an emergency fund is one of the most important things you can do for protecting your finances. Now, this is money that's set aside, usually in a savings account that you can access whenever life throws unexpected expenses your way. For example, imagine your laptop, which you use for your business or for client work like me, suddenly dies. Without an emergency fund, to replace the laptop, you'd either have to put it on a credit card or you have to scramble to come up with figuring out how to pay for it. A good starting point is saving $1,000. Now, most Americans can't even come up with $1,000 in the event of an emergency without borrowing money, so hitting this goal will put you ahead of most Americans at least. Once you've reached that, work towards building 3 to 6 months worth of living expenses in your emergency fund. Consistency is key here. Even small contributions will add up over time, and having that emergency fund will definitely give you a peace of mind. Avoid consumer debt. Credit card debt can snowball faster than you think, and it's one of the easiest ways to derail your financial progress. With interest rates often ranging from 20% all the way up to 36% APR, carrying a balance can cost you a fortune. Here's how I would avoid this trap. I'd use my credit card as a tool and not a crutch. That means only charging what I already have money for in my checking account, no exceptions. If I don't have the cash, I'm not using the credit card. And look, if you're someone who struggles with the discipline of using credit cards responsibly, then it's better to avoid them altogether. Avoiding consumer debt is about keeping your financial goals on track and staying in control of your finances. Pay off debt. Debt is one of the biggest barriers to building wealth, so paying it off should be a top priority. Every dollar you're using to pay off debt is a dollar you're not saving or investing or putting towards your future. It's an opportunity cost that can set you back for years. Credit card debt in particular is especially dangerous because of its high APR or annual percentage rate. If you're carrying balances on multiple cards, you're likely paying a fortune in interest charges alone, and that's money that you could have used to grow your own wealth instead of making the banks richer. Once credit card debt is tackled, I'd move on to other obligations like student loans, personal loans, or auto loans. Two popular strategies can help with this. The snowball method, which involves paying your smallest debt first to build momentum and motivation, and then there's the avalanche method, which focuses on paying down the debts with the highest interest rates first to save the most amount of money over time. Now, both of these methods work, it just really depends on what keeps you motivated. Now, let's be real, paying off debt might not be exciting, but it's absolutely necessary to build a strong foundation. Be strategic about car purchases. Now, cars are one of the biggest financial decisions that most people make outside of buying a home, but they can also be one of the worst. Now, the average car depreciates about 20% in its first year. That means on average, if you buy a $30,000 car, it could be worth $24,000 after just 1 year. That's why I would avoid buying a brand new car altogether. At the same time, I'm not suggesting that you buy a clunker that just constantly breaks down, because that's gonna end up costing you more in repairs than what the car is worth. But instead, I would say look for a certified pre-owned vehicle that's maybe a few years old. When deciding how much to spend, I'd follow the 23-8 rule. Now, I'm borrowing this from the guys from the Money Guy show because I think it's a really good guide, but 23-8 means putting at least 20% down, financing the car for no more than 3 years, and keeping the total car payment to no more than 8% of your gross income. For example, if you're earning $50,000 a year, your car payment should not exceed $333 a month. This approach keeps car expenses manageable, so it doesn't have to interfere with your saving, investing, or your debt payoff plans. And remember, you don't need your dream car right now. Just focus on something practical, something affordable, and upgrade later when you're in a much stronger financial position. Don't save without a purpose. Saving for the sake of saving isn't always the best strategy. Now, growing up, I thought responsible saving meant to put as much money away into a savings account. But over time, I realized that the money that you leave sitting in your savings loses purchasing power to inflation over time. For example, something that cost $100 a decade ago might cost $150 today. So saving without a specific goal in mind means your money is just gonna lose purchasing power. That's why I would save up only for specific purposes, like for an emergency fund, or if I'm trying to save up for a down payment on a home, or maybe that vacation that I've been planning. Outside of those goals, I'd rather put my money to work in investments that can grow faster than the rate of inflation. Start investing early. One of the biggest things that I'd focus on if I were starting today is investing early. Time is your best friend when it comes to building wealth, and the earlier you start, the more you can take advantage of the power of compound interest. For example, if you invest $200 a month starting at the age of 25 and earn an average annual return of 10%, you would have over $1.2 million by the time you're 65. But if you decided to wait just 10 years and start at the age of 35, you would have only about $450,000 by the time you're 65. Contrary to what a lot of people believe, you don't need to be wealthy or you don't need to be an expert to be able to start investing. Low-cost index funds, or ETFs, they allow you to invest in a diversified portfolio without needing to understand how to pick individual stocks. If you have access to a workplace retirement account like a 401k or 403b, make sure you contribute at least up to the employer match, because it's literally free money. Now, if you don't have a workplace retirement plan, or you've already contributed up to the company match in your 401k, opening up a Roth IRA is a great alternative or addition, because you can contribute after-tax dollars that grows tax-free, and then you'll be able to use that money tax-free in the future. Even small amounts like $50 or $100 a month to start can can really grow into something substantial over time. The key is consistency. Invest regularly, no matter what the market is doing, and hold your investments for the long term. The earlier you start, the more time you're gonna give your money to grow, and that is the true secret to building wealth. Figure out ways to diversify my income sources. Cutting back on expenses is important, but let's be honest, there's only so much that you can cut. That's why I would focus on diversifying my income sources. Increasing your income not only helps you to pay off debt faster and to save more, but it also gives you more flexibility in your life now. You're able to live in the moment, you can splurge a little bit here and there, and you can even be charitable if that's something that's important to you. Diversifying your income is also about security. Relying on one source of income can be really risky. I mean, what if you lose your job, you get laid off, or you get injured and you're not able to work anymore? Having multiple streams of income is gonna protect you, and it's gonna keep things running in the event that one of your income sources dries up. In my 20s, I've always had at least 2 different income streams, and it wasn't something I did intentionally, I just wanted to make more money. But I worked a full-time job and waited tables on the nights and weekends. Now these days, I have a salary from my full-time job, but I also do freelance work to supplement my income. If I were to start today, I would explore different side hustle ideas or freelance or even create content online. The key is to find something that aligns with your skills and interests. Diversifying your income not only accelerates your financial goals, but it also builds a safety net that keeps you prepared for whatever life throws your way. Remember, your personal finance journey starts with small, intentional steps. It's not about doing everything perfectly, it's about building the habits that's gonna set you up for success over time. So take it one step at a time, and remember, progress is what matters the most. Looking for some ways to level up your personal finances this year? Watch this video next. Subscribe for more tips, and I'll see you next time. Peace.